That experience taught me to continue to go after your dreams nonstop, unapologetically, and you never know how much time you have left. So you want to maximize every single day while you're here. And that is just something that my dad did very well. Do you constantly struggle with having time to do the things you love the most? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Wellness Transform Her podcast, where busy career women become queens of their time, self-care, and wellness. Each week, we'll dive into practical tips and strategies to help you go from being an exhausted boss woman to an empowered queen for the opulent lifestyle of your dreams. You'll hear from me, your host, Dr. Talonda Bryant, and meet extraordinary women from all across the world. Let's dive right in to jumpstart your transformation. Hi, Queens. Welcome to this episode. I'm so excited to share more about my story and testimony and to let you know why I started this podcast. So, I was empowered to start this podcast because I really want to grow my outreach and impact as many women as I can to encourage them to prioritize themselves and make sure that they take care of their mental, emotional, and spiritual well being in a holistic way. And I feel like society just has this narrative that women are supposed to do everything for themselves. And if they ask for help, they're an unfit mother, an unfit wife. And that is not the truth. So I'm so excited that a lot of the women that will be featured on my podcast are going to be successful business women that have achieved a balance within their lives. And I want them to share tips and strategies, and I will be sharing tips as well for the everyday woman who wants to have time to herself, but feel like she just doesn't. To get started along my journey, when I was 25, my father passed in a very traumatic way. And that's a whole other story. I'll probably do another podcast on that. But through that season of just processing and grieving and just trying to figure out how I was going to proceed in life from that traumatic event, I learned that you never know when your time is going to come for you to pass. So you want to live as spontaneously and you want to impact as many people as you can while you're here. And my father did just that. His life was just a blessing to a lot of people. And to have so much support and outpouring from a lot of people during that time, it was very just positive and it was very needed. So, all in all, that experience taught me to continue to go after your dreams nonstop, unapologetically, and you never know how much time you have left. So, you want to maximize every single day while you're here. And that is just something that my dad did very well. And I wanted to continue his legacy with my family in the manner that he did, which is impacting people, making a difference in a lot of people's lives in the community, whether that's local or whether that's from another state or another country. He was able to just reach back to a lot of people, and I was very touched by that. So that's what I hope to do and achieve with this podcast. I hope that a lot of women's lives will be forever changed from everything that they learn while tuning into this podcast. So, a little bit more about my story. So, when I started my career as a doctor of physical therapy, I started in September of 2019. And I was so enthused. I was happy that I finally reached this exciting chapter of my life after a decade of being in college and graduate school. It was finally here. So I started working and immediately I just became burnt out. I was treating up to 14 to 15 patients a day, and I was taking patient notes with me back home to continue to finish charting. And my friends will tell you, they were just upset that they didn't get to talk to me as much. And they were like, "What are you doing? Like, we don't get to hang out as much." And I just was really feeling burnt out in every aspect. I didn't have a lot of time to work out. I didn't have time to do certain things during the middle of the week. If I wanted to go to an event, I had to request time off and I had to just basically wait to see if it got approved. And I just could not live my life continually in that manner of being exhausted, not having time for the things that I was passionate about. And although I was impacting patients' lives in a major way, that was a one-to-one type of experience. I could only give a patient my time and attention for so long before I had to move on to the next one. And it was just like a busy type of an atmosphere. And I just didn't ultimately see myself living that lifestyle indefinitely. So I ended up resigning and I started my own PT practice. I had my own business. It was called Top Performance Physical Therapy. And I was doing concierge services with young adults that were active or athletes. It was just an exciting time and I was very passionate about it at that time. However, I discovered that I wasn't as fulfilled while doing the physical therapy in the home, where sometimes I was going to different events if a patient needed me to perform an assessment. So it was exciting for the time being, ultimately. I just didn't feel like I was fulfilling my life's purpose. And I just did a lot of reflection. And I remembered what I went through with my dad during that time of my life and just was putting two and two together that although my dad transitioned unexpectedly, like he didn't know, none of us knew that it was his time, but he made sure to live his life in a way that impacted a lot of people. And I felt like my impact was limited when I was working in the clinic. I could only have so much energy to treat and it just was exhausting. So in my reflection, I wanted to build a brand that truly reflected everything about me, my faith, my femininity, my ambition, my drive. And I felt like I wasn't able to demonstrate that to the fullest effect within my physical therapy practice. And I also felt like it was starting to get burnt. I was starting to get burnt out again because I was traveling to different patients' homes and events, and it just was a lot. It was time consuming trying to build it. And I wasn't as passionate about it in the end. So while building out my brand, I changed the name to the Lady Well Consulting. And I will also have to do another story of how I came up with that name. I did that reel on my Instagram, and it shows you a little bit about me talking about how I came up with that name. But I wanted a brand to help other women conquer different challenges within their lives of having time for themselves and taking good care of their health and not getting in a state of constant exhaustion because of the demands that they have within their lives. So that is what I hope to achieve with this podcast. I'm so excited for the guests that I'm going to have, and I feel like you all are going to be extremely blessed by the guest. So stay tuned. And if you have any topics that you would like to hear more about, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at YourLadyWell, or you can send me an email at drtalonda@yourladywell.com. I look forward to growing with you all and also facilitating your transformation in your health and your overall well-being. So stay tuned, and I appreciate you once again for listening into this episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wellness Transformed Her podcast. If you enjoyed it, I would love it if you could please share this with another boss lady and leave a 5-star review. If you're interested in working with me, please visit www.yourladywell.com to book a free self-care call with me and access my free resources. Remember to steward your time wisely. Until next time, lady, take care and be well.